Hello again, everyone. It is a little after 2. We're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation for today. And as people join in, we'll be admitting them in to the webinar, but we wanted to get started as close as possible on time. So let's get going. My name is Beth Simos, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Wayforth. And we want to welcome everyone to our second webinar in our spring series, The Emotionality of Moving. We are very excited about this presentation and our presenter that we have joining us today. I'd like to go ahead and cover a little bit of housekeeping before we get started so everyone's familiar about how the webinar works via Teams. We, as you can see here on the screen, there are some features and functionalities that will show up on your screen. They may look a little different depending on whether you're on a computer, an iPhone, a tablet, but just wanted to point these out to you. We have muted everyone for the benefit of the presentation, and we find that muting helps ensure that everybody can hear clearly and that there are no unnecessary disruptions. That does mean we won't be able to hear you, but please use the chat function to put any questions throughout the presentation. We'll be monitoring that throughout. Myself and Reese on our marketing team will be collecting all of your questions, and then we'll address those at the end of the presentation. Just remember, any question you have, just enter it in the chat because there are several other members on the group who may have the same question. So don't hesitate, because you'll be doing everyone a favor by asking a question. This also goes for any technical help you may need. If you run into any technical difficulties, put that in the chat as well, and we will attempt to solve the technical issue for you as soon as possible. So let's practice using the chat function. Can everyone write in the chat where you're joining us from today? City, state, just let us know where you're at today. Lakeland, Florida, Woodbridge, Virginia, Raleigh, North Carolina, Southampton, Massachusetts, Charlotte, North Carolina, Washington, D.C., people from all up and down the East Coast, Gardner, North Carolina, Great Falls, Virginia. We're covering almost the bulk of the states on the East Coast. It's so good to have everybody here, and everybody seems to know how to use the chat. Somebody from Michigan, welcome, welcome. So continue to use the chat throughout, as I mentioned. Put questions in the chat. We'll monitor those, and we'll be sure to address those at the end of the presentation. And now just a few words about Wayforth. Just a little bit about us. We are a provider of comprehensive and personalized move management and moving solutions for life and business. We are the nation's largest home transition management company, and we do provide solutions through every phase of the move that are personalized to each unique individual's needs. So no matter how you move matters, and no matter the destination, we are here to serve as a guide, helping you make those transitions easier to navigate. Currently, we provide services from Maine to Florida, and we coordinate moves with partner providers across the country. Our leadership team has over 80 years of combined industry experience, and we're excited that we are an AARP member benefit provider as well. And it's important too to mention we are COVID-19 certified and have implemented some of the most comprehensive health and safety protocols in the industry. We are changing the way people move, and we hope to be able to help you with your next move so you can experience the Wayforth difference, a complete move solution. We do offer, as I mentioned, complete move solutions for everything from downsizing to space planning, packing and moving, unpacking, settling in, clearing out and preparing for sale, storage solutions, So we offer a variety of solutions to meet your individual needs. We will provide contact information in the chat at the end. So in case you happen to have additional questions, even after the webinar ends, you'll know how to reach out to us. So let's jump right in and let me introduce our fabulous speaker for today, Kiera. She is our Regional Managing Director of our Southeast region. She brings over 20 years of experience within the fields of educational leadership, higher education, counseling, and move management. She is a certified life coach and speaker. She has her master's degree in counseling from Liberty University and has experience in a wide variety of areas from curriculum development, instruction, student engagement and leadership, diversity and inclusion, quality enhancement plan, accreditation co-chair there, women of empowerment organizations, and also a lot of expertise in advising and counseling in higher education. She is also a certified senior move manager, and she comes to that with a lot of experience as a U.S. Air Force military brat and a military spouse. She personally understands all the logistics surrounding a life transition, and she brings that knowledge to help our clients to enhance the moving experience for each client. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Kiera to share her knowledge and expertise.
It means I'm really still young, is what that means.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Beth, for the introduction. And just a special shout out to anybody I saw in the chat that is from Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's where I currently reside. But welcome this afternoon. I'm glad everybody's here. And I'm hoping that the goal is for you to learn some key strategies and tips on ways to emotionally prepare for a move, how to embrace the change, and learn ways to begin living in your new environment. So we're excited about this today. So let's talk a little bit about stressful life events. So we're going to go on to the next slide. So there's a top 5, and some of you, if you're in the industry at all, you know that any of these items listed on this list could bring any amount of stress to a person's life. But one of the things that we focus on as well is there's death of a loved one, right? So we're supporting people that are going through a stressful life event. Divorce, moving is one of the top 5, and major illness or injury, and of course, job loss would bring any type of stress to a person's life. So because we're a move management company, full solutions, right? There are a lot of moving stressors that come along with that. So that's one of the reasons why it's helpful for us to be able to connect with clients and people that are going through these stressors to be able to pinpoint them and kind of help them move along the process. So think about some of the moving stressors. Thoughts of moving out of your comfort zone. That's a stressor. Some of us don't even want to get out of our chair to move to another chair, or office chair, or something like that, because we're in our comfort zone. That's where we, are calm, and that's our knowing place. Starting a new life, that's a stressor. The excitement and anxiety of moving. Sometimes it's exciting for someone to move. So even if you plan the move and you're looking forward to the move, there are still some stressors that come along with that. Fear of the unknown, not really knowing what moving to the new neighborhood is going to look like, the new city is going to look like, the state that you're getting ready to live in. I have a dog, a little dog named Samson, thinking about, well, they've been going to this vet for quite a few years. Now I've got to try to find him another veterinarian, selecting a new physicians, a church, synagogue, any kind of place of worship. All of these things bring about stress because it's now a change, and it's one more thing that you have to think about. The good news is you are not alone. So if you are getting ready to face any types of changes that are coming up in your life, or you're going through changes now, just know that you're not alone, and you don't have to deal with it by yourself. Not only is 54% of America overwhelmed by the amount of clutter they have, but 78% don't know what to do with it, or find it too complicated to deal with. So they let it build up, taking over their homes and offices. So when you're thinking about moving, even if you're moving to a place that's the same size as your current home, or moving to a place that where you have to downsize, all of those things bring about some anxiety because there are closets and things like that that you may not have opened in a while, drawers you haven't gone through in a while. So that brings a little stress, but you're not alone. So is the emotional stress normal? So when you sit and think about it, sometimes we're in our own little, cubbies, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm stressing out over this. I can't believe I'm feeling this way. I'm too exhausted to move forward. You may think, this is abnormal, but is it normal to have this stress? Why does moving feel so stressful? Why does the transition feel so stressful? One, we're going through a change. Change is getting ready to happen. So it is very normal to feel this way when there's a change about to happen in your life. So feeling anxious to move to a new home, city, or community is all a part of the process that comes along with moving. It's natural, and I just want to repeat, you're not alone. Another reason why it's a stressor, it takes money to move. Money is considered one of the biggest causes of stress in planning a move. Even the most financially planned move can be stressful. So I'd like to just kind of say here is that sometimes we may have moved 20 years ago or 30 years ago, or hey, when you were in your younger years, or when I was in my younger years, moving was no big deal. You just pushed everything in a car, back of the trunk, in a closed laundry basket, and you just, took it from there. But now there's a lot more planning, there's bigger homes, there's long distance, there's things like that. And so sometimes if we're not thinking carefully, there's a lot of these expenses that we're not really planning for that start to come up. And yes, anytime you're spending unnecessary, unplanned dollars, it will cause stress. The other thing is time. So we're talked about money, we're talking about change, we're talking about finances, and now time. When moving, it may feel like your life is on a temporary hold. So think about if you're in any type of transition, or you may have recently moved or getting ready to move, or you may be supporting someone that is getting ready to move. Think about each room. There may be boxes over here. You're going through the closets over there, and then you're in the living room and you've got boxes and you're going through things. Sometimes it just looks like a mess. You're looking at this going, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time to take care of all of this. And it just seems like you're still trying to live your daily life, but then you have all this stuff that you have to do. Your focus, your time, your energy, it's all about the move. That's all you're talking about. That's all you're thinking about. You're having discussions with your family members, or you're having discussions trying to make calls on who to get help from. It's all about this move. And it takes time to prepare, pack, and then settle you into your new home. All of these things take time. And yes, it causes stress. So what are some of these symptoms of stress? Sometimes we're just hitting it and we're taking care of it day to day, but then we find ourselves restless. We find ourselves tossing and turning, thinking about the next thing. Did I forget this? Did I forget, do I have to drop this thing up? Did I change my address? Restlessness. Sometimes we try to avoid people and interactions. So if you're the person that's looking to move, there are some people in your life that you're trying to avoid because all they want to talk to you is about did you get the kitchen done yet? Did you get the bathroom done yet? Did you take care of the laundry? And you're going to have to. So those are the people sometimes when you're already stressed. Sometimes you want to avoid those people, right? Because that stresses you out. So you find yourself kind of pulling back because you're already so overwhelmed. You're easily overwhelmed and triggered. They have feelings of depression, sadness, the fear of letting go. And then sometimes you're just unproductive because you go in and you pull it all out and you start going through things and packing things, and it's just way too much. And then you find yourself doing nothing. Or I sit there and maybe just look at Netflix instead, because that's easier to do than go through all of this stuff. So some of the effects on mental health and physical health that you want to pay attention to during this time if you're feeling any of these stressors: chest pain, insomnia, headaches, poor immunity, uncontrollable shaking, negative thinking, body aches, poor focus, loss of appetite, or social withdrawals. These things are real. And even if you're not the person dealing with it, you need to be cognizant of your friends or family members or someone in your life that is maybe going through some type of transition, and you're starting to look at them and you notice that they're not feeling well, they're not eating a lot, there's no motivation for them. When you see that happening, sometimes they could be dealing with some type of effects of their mental and physical health. Of course, the loss of appetite, I don't mind that for myself personally that much. I need to lose my appetite a little bit, but you want to keep supporting them and checking in on those people. There is such thing called relocation depression. Sometimes you see this when someone has, had to move and leave their family, go into a senior living community, or after a loved one has passed away or something like that, and now they're having to do this transition afterwards. There's a lot happening at one time. So relocation depression is a sense of overwhelming sadness that could manifest for years because of moving. Some people may become sad, happy, or sentimental. Others may experience decision fatigue, simply tired of having to make so many decisions. And just think about it, when we're having to make decisions on what to keep, what to sell, what's going to be trash, what am I taking with me, where is it going to fit? It's just question after question after question. After a while, a person could just become brain dead. Like, I'm just exhausted of making decisions, and I just need to push away from it for a little while. Or even the person who has relocated. They're all set up in their new place. They're all set up in their new home. It looks like it's a great place. It looks like there's a lot of activities, but you may notice they don't really come out and socialize as much. Maybe they're not enjoying their surroundings as much, or they've kind of disconnected from coming down to eating or hanging out with the friends or going to activities. They could also be suffering from a little depression. So you want to check in with them as well. I don't want everything to be doom and gloom, right? But there are ways to relieve stress. We all have our different ways of relieving our stress, but one of the biggest things is having the right attitude and mindset. And so you might say, Kiera, that's easier said than done. I just lost a loved one, and now I have to move. Or this has happened to me, and now I have to move somewhere that I don't want to. Or I love my home, and I love my surrounding, my city, my church, my pharmacy, everything. I know all these things, and now I have to move. How do you tell me now to have a good attitude and a mindset? Well, we all know that once you think something, right, that's what you become. So if I have these negative thoughts all the time, and it's woe is me, and I'm never gonna, be happy again, I'm never gonna find anything to be happy about, that's where we will stay, right? So somewhere in here, especially without, support, but somewhere in here, there's some self-talk and affirmation that can happen. Meeting new people while maintaining your current relationships. So sometimes we're leaving our friends, or we're leaving, the doctor or the church, or some places of worship where we used to, connect with these people. Moving on somewhere else doesn't necessarily mean you have to let go of your old. So still being able to connect with them in some way, if you're able to visit in some time, depending on the distance, being able to meet new people and then still maintain current relationships is a way to relieve stress. Exploring new sites, shifting mindset lowers the stress. I was just having a conversation earlier last week, and what they were adult children were saying about their mother going into a community, and it was all new, everything. And how his mother started doing Tai Chi, had never done this before. And they were offering at the community, and she was like, you know what, I'm just going to try this. It looks weird. I've never done it before, but let me try it. And he said that she is an avid believer, loves it, and it's done so much for her mental and physical health. Try something new. Another way to relieve stress, besides changing your mindset, is also try to do your research. Be involved in the decision making about where you're going. Learn more about your new home. Explore the community, the neighborhood, the area. Try to see what it is about that area that you like and what you can connect to. Grocery stores, if they're nearby, pharmacies, hospitals, parks, places of worship, fitness centers, things like that, here are the things that you used to do and the things that bring you joy. How do I still find those things in my new area or new home or community? Even if you're moving in with a family member, still, there are some things that your family members do that you may be able to join in, or you can say, hey, connect me with the local YMCA, connect me with where's the dog park, those types of things. Start doing your research so there are things that you can start planning towards. How will you connect with your hobbies? Bridge, knitting, book clubs, things like that you are a part of where you currently are. How do you still bridge that gap into where you're going? So do your research. Knowing ahead of time, that will help alleviate stress. Another thing to get ahead of it, I don't know how many type A people there are on the call or people are planners, but prepare a checklist and establish a timeline. So I always recommend, sitting down with it and thinking about a timeline from the time that you're leaving or moving or you're getting a new home built, whatever that timeline is. Think about when that is going to be and start working backwards from that deadline. So is it a year from now? Is it 6 months from now? Is it 3 months from now? Kind of that checklist. What are the things that need to be done? The things I need to keep, the things I plan to donate, the things that I plan to discard, and write down any financial obligations. What does it cost? What do you think the cost is going to be of the move or getting support or if you have to pay a deposit or, first and last month, things like that need to be done. Just little by little, starting to make those lists. I do know that looking at a list can overwhelm you by itself, right? Because you're like, I have a 2-page list of things I have to do. One thing at a time. And some things can't be rushed. So I advise you to start early. It's never too late, never too early to start. So the other thing that we like to look at too and support is decluttering, right sizing. Like I said, whether you're downsizing or whether you're moving into a home the same size, it's always a good time to kind of rethink and look at the way you're living, look at the things that you have. And so we always take clients through a list of questions about their items. Do I love it? Do I need it? Does it fit? Then you keep it, right? Do I use it? Can I repurpose it? Can someone else use it? And is it worth any money? So by the time you strategically start going through those lists of questions, you're either going to keep the items, you're going to throw the items away, you're going to gift it to someone, repurpose it, you're going to donate it, or they may be items to sell. So everything that you have will be able to find itself into one of these 5 categories. So what do we say? I love a party. I love being around people. People bring me joy and laughter. And so why not bring your friends over to help you? Not the nagging ones that are, going to get on your nerves. I'm talking about the ones that are like, yeah, that looks great on you. Keep it. But get help and say goodbye. Ask a friend for some help, make it a party, make it a gathering. Hey guys, I need you to come over. We're going to work on the 2 guest rooms, or I need you all to come over and help me with my garage, or let's do an attic today. And I promise I'll feed you. I've got food in the crock pot, wine in the fridge, whatever you have to do to entice this help. Just, get some help so that you're not alone and that you have somebody there to help you step by step. And of course, Hire a full service professional move management company. I happen to know one. And that's exactly what we do. So helping, and then I just want to say to those of you that are helping the person in transition, sometimes we think our help is help and it's really not help. Sometimes we add to their stressors. They're already dealing with so many stressors as it is. So we're adding to that. And so if you are helping, you're an adult child and you're helping one of your parents or siblings or someone, I highly recommend that you be patient. Be patient with them. Their decisiveness, indecisiveness, trying to figure it out, changing their minds. Be patient because they're making a lifestyle change. Be supportive and compassionate. Just because you don't like certain types of furniture or glasses or dishes and things like that, just because you don't like these things doesn't mean they don't love it, right? So just be really careful about how we, may judge their items or comments that we say about their memories. Listen to understand. Sometimes we talk with clients and there is a story about every single thing. The first grandchild picture or mug, the pictures, the albums, all the different memories. These are life memories, right? I'm a grandmother. Some of you know that know me. And, when I had my first grandchild, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a life changer. So everything she does is great. It's beautiful. You got to hang it on the wall. You need a cup with a handprint. You got to have all these picture frames and all these things. But what happens when she's 20 and 30 and 40? Do I still keep all of these things that she gave me? And what about when I have more and more grandchildren? How many of these cups and mugs, and you all know what I'm talking about, that says the greatest grandmother and the best person, how many of these things do we hold on to, right? But I bet we have a story about every single one of them. And we would love to share and honor those stories. But after you share and honor the story, then you have to ask yourself, do I really need all 25 of these coffee cups that these kids have given me over the years? Right? So those are some of the tough questions, but listen to understand, honor the memories. There are people who have lost loved ones and they still have their loved ones' items or gifts or travel moments, pictures, things like that, that souvenirs that they've gathered over the years. These things mean things, right? To us or to me, I might say, do we really need that? Trash it. But to that person, it's everything. So honor their memories and then make sure they get to keep their dignity and being able to be a part of the decision-making process. Allow them to make decisions, right? And I understand there's times of safety. We can't take all of this stuff because it doesn't fit and you may trip and fall. So we understand that. And we understand that there are just, way too many things, right, to hold on to. But allow them to start making some decisions, going back and forth about, hey, what should we keep? What's going to fit? What's your most favorite thing? Or if you wake up in the morning, what is that one thing you want to see every day that's going to bring you joy? So adult children, friends, family members that are supporting somebody in transition, these are the tips that we want to share with you. So just like Beth said in the beginning, how you move matters every single step of the way. How you prepare, your timeline, is it too early? Is it too late? When should I start? Hey, I'm not going to move for 2 or 3 years. That's down the road. And just like she said in my intro, I was raised a military brat, United States Air Force. So if there's any military vets out there or military servant, thank you for your service. And my husband was also in the military. He was in the Air Force. So moving was just kind of a natural process. Did I get anxious every single time? Absolutely. And having people come in my house and packing things up, and here we go again. But what I learned was every single time I had to make another move, I condensed things or I got rid of things. Or you look in the attic and you see a packed move box from 3 moves ago, and it's still in that same box. We have no idea what's in there. We have no idea what's in the attic. You could have a small family living in the attic. You have no idea. You got to get up there. You got to check it out. But it matters how we move. It matters. We're a complete solution. We look at space planning just to make sure of the items that are going to fit into your new space and what you can safely move. The downsizing just took you through the steps on what to keep, what not to keep, all of the above. Some people call it right sizing because you're just making it right for your next space. And you always want to think about not how you used to live your life, how you're currently living it now, and what is it going to look like when you move. So if you're from the north and you moved all of your skis down to Fort Myers, Florida, I'm here to tell you, you don't need to bother bringing it with you. I don't think it's going to work unless you take it out there on the ocean. And then we pack, we do all the moving, we pack with the unpack in mind. We organize your items first, pack them up. We move you, get you unpacked and settled in, putting away your dishes nice and organized, putting away your food in the refrigerator, turning on the lamps, making the beds, hanging up your items into your closets. And then we settle you in by hanging pictures, mounting televisions, things like that. All those little tips that matter, again, to help alleviate the stress. And then any clear out needs that you may need, we also do that for you. And of course, storage solutions. So at the end of the day, if there are a few things that don't fit into your new place and you feel strongly about holding on to them, guess what? We have a solution for you for that too. We will take care of you no matter what, from end to end, complete solutions.
Thank you, Kiera. That was fantastic. A lot of helpful and insightful information to consider when we're thinking about a transition or a move and all the emotion that goes along with that. So now we do want to open up to questions. Feel free to put any questions into the chat, as I mentioned earlier. And I'll continue to monitor those as Kiera's answering some questions. There are a couple, so let me go ahead and get it started. What are some resources that folks can tap into for guidance and advice when planning a move, i.e. checklists? Someone asked, do we offer a moving checklist?
Yes, actually we do. We have moving checklists. We've been able to work, like sometimes when we come and see a client, we work through the timeline and we can provide a checklist there based on your customized needs, but we also have just basic moving tips and checklists that we provide to clients. Yes.
The other question too that always comes up is, what is the right time? When do I start thinking about moving, starting downsizing? How soon before I move?
I tell you what, I'm a person that I don't even have to be preparing to move to go through about once or twice a year and start the decluttering process. I just don't like things to pile up. So I would say now is the time to begin. It's never too early to, go junk drawer by junk drawer and just do a clear out, looking at boxes, old tubs, thinking about the time of year, sometimes the fall is a good time of year to, because it's a little cooler. Sometimes the spring is a great time of year when people start kind of spring cleaning and going through things. So I would just make it a part of your, biannual or annual process, just to kind of go through and keep things decluttered. And if you hadn't seen your pants or your clothes and you haven't used something in a year to 2 years, you probably don't need it.
Yeah, and to sort of piggyback on that, somebody said, if I start a whole year ahead, is there any coaching that can support that downsizing during the year? I know you just addressed a little bit of that on an ongoing basis, but if someone hasn't started and they have a year,
oh yeah,
some advice.
Absolutely. We always recommend that you would start in those places that, are non-essential to you, that you're not using on a daily basis. I mean, if you have a big yard and you're still cutting grass and things like that, you may not want to, get rid of your yard tools and things like that. But the attic, you know, where maybe the small family may live and you hadn't been up there in about 5 years, you might want to start up there, and just start pulling things down, looking at holiday, maybe after your last holiday, like Easter just, you know, came around, Christmas, things like that. You may go through there and say, okay, now I can start downsizing these items because a year from now I'm gonna be somewhere else. So I would recommend things that are non-essential, the guest bedrooms, the closets, some of those areas that are tucked away, the Tupperware, you know, going through your dishes and things like that. That's where I would recommend starting to downsize. But if you're wearing your clothes and, you know, things like that that you're seeing on day-to-day basis, you want to wait until you're closer to your move to start on those things.
Good, thank you. There's another question here wanting to know that if we help with safety planning, i.e. floor rugs, floor space for walkers, handicap ramps, and other assistive devices.
So one of the things that we do, we don't install like the mobile, you know, we have some partners that we work with that can install the handicap ramp and things like that. Our team's always thinking about safety. That's one of the reasons why we do space planning first when you're downsizing, because we don't want you getting up in the middle of the night and tripping over, you know, a side table or a bench or something like that in your room. And we also want to make sure our walkways are ADA compliant, because if you happen to have surgery or you need to, you know, get a wheelchair through the areas, we want to make sure we're compliant in those areas. But any type of modification or medical modifications, we have referral partners that would be able to do that for you.
One other question that someone put in, you talked a little bit about ways to relieve stress. Are there resources you recommend that people can reach out to, or online, or other ways they can find more information about relieving stress?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely, you know, there are actually senior groups if you're an active aging adult, mental health, you know, counseling, reaching out. I know during COVID, there were a lot of agencies that became, you know, virtual. They offer virtual counseling or just checking in. There are groups that have group talks and, you know, with seniors. I'm just talking about seniors right now, but this could be anybody. That they have groups, anybody in transition, grief, there's grief counseling, there's groups like that. So depending on where you live, I know in the Charlotte area, some of our referral partners offer certain services to support. First thing is to just seek it out, right? And depending on where you are, we may be able to get you a link or connect you with someone. And then, of course, talk to your practitioner as well.
Right. Some other online resources I would recommend for seniors or the adult children helping their parents or loved ones make this transition. You know, AARP, that is the big resource online. They have a lot of things you can find on a variety of different topics, not just transitioning and moving, but they're a really good resource. Also, a national association, Leading Age, is a really good online resource. And then there are a lot in local areas. They have some groups, areas on aging, and some councils on aging. I think you meant the Looking Local, Kiera. So that's some really good local resources.
Yeah, and even caretaker groups that are out there in your local areas, support groups. There's a lot of, you know, support. So definitely we can, again, like Beth said, we can provide those links for you if you need to know, but I would definitely tap into your local areas as well.
Absolutely. The other question that someone asked is just in question about that webinar itself. And yes, we will provide a download, a link to view this. You will receive an email after this afternoon that has a link to view the presentation. And then you'll be able to view that online. You'll also be receiving in that email a link to our digital goodie bag that has some resources that you can download off of the website. So some really good resources. We also have included Kiera's email. Reach out to her anytime, reach out to us. hello@wayforth.com. We're here to provide information. Give us a call. Check out our website. There's a lot of great information there. The link to what we call our, as I mentioned, our digital goodie bag is here. You'll also receive that in the email that I mentioned sent out along with the link to view this presentation again. The chat for the also includes the link to the goodie bag. If you want to do that right away, you can click on that there. So I think that unless anybody has any other questions, that concludes Kiera's presentation. Do you have anything last minute tips or things to share with the group, Kiera?
Absolutely. My background is professional counseling. And so I'm always looking to provide support for others. And so that's one of the things that I love about our company is that we are truly a people helping people company. So the tips and things like that I gave you are surface level support. However, if there are deeper diagnostic type depression and mental health concerns, please consult a professional, a certified credentialed professional.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. This was wonderful. There have been multiple comments in the chat, Kiera, that it's been very helpful and insightful, and the information that you've provided today. I want to invite everyone to our next webinar in our spring webinar series, How You Move Matters. There will be email communications and information on our website on how to register for that. There's also a link in the chat that you can register for that third presentation. We do these webinar series quarterly. So our next one will be coming up this summer. So keep your eyes and ears open for information on that. And again, want to thank everyone for joining us today. I know that this is valuable time, and we appreciate you joining us and learning more about the emotionality of moving. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.